It is difficult to be a small or a medium company when you feel this constant pressure from big enterprises with their big budgets, or when the government is about to introduce new legislations or restrictions for your product, or when there are more and more competitors coming from the whole world. The answer to these problems is quite simple, yet also complicated. You need to innovate, because then you'll be able to bring a completely new product to the market, something that no one of your competitors has, yet something that your customers need, and then you might stop caring about the prices because you can dictate them, regulations because you can make sure your product adheres to these new regulations, and competitors because no one would have your unique solution. However, innovating for a small company is quite a complicated thing. You don't have enough resources, financial, time, human, technological resources. Well, I believe that open innovation can actually help you here. I don't know if you have ever heard of this approach, or this is the very first time that you hear about it, though I'm pretty sure that anyone who works in innovation knows what open innovation means. But this model of innovating is the one that could help you overcome all these challenges that I mentioned, successfully innovate and be ahead of competition, enjoy your profits and growth. I want to make this video quite general and focused on open innovation for small and medium companies that have little or no experience with this approach, and maybe not only with this approach but innovating in general. I'm going to explain you how open innovation could help you solve your challenges, which models of open innovation exist in general and which ones might work for you, how you can organize an open innovation project, and other things. This video will of course be more on the educational side. However, I also hope that it will be inspiring too. I hope that you will see some ideas on how to work with open innovation projects for your company. In general, when it comes to the world of large enterprises, open innovation is a common thing and companies use it. They conduct open innovation projects. Some do more of these projects, some do less of this project. But I believe that this approach can and should be used by small and medium companies as well. Anyway, let's build this video in the following way. I'm going to start with a concept overview of open innovation, which models it has. I'm going to talk about which open innovation models could work for your company and how you can organize an open innovation project, challenges connected to such projects because they exist, and which challenges you and your company should pay attention to. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of open innovation projects in small and medium companies, just to give you some inspiration. So let's start. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa and I've been working for years on organizing collaborative university competitions for world well-known companies to solve their extreme innovation challenges. And now I continue my journey with the goal to foster innovation by helping different parties of the innovation process collaborate and co-create. On this channel, I explore collaboration projects for innovation management, share my experience in managing these projects and processes, and uncover strategies for making collaboration efforts more effective. Now, let's begin with the concept overview. Do you need a concept overview? Because if you don't, you can just go straight to the next chapter. Please check the description under the video. You'll find timestamps. But if you want an explanation, here it is. The person who came up with the concept of open innovation is a well-known professor, Henry Chesborough, and he defined open innovation as the use of purposive inflows and outflows of knowledge to accelerate internal innovation and expand the markets for external use of innovation. So basically, in simple words, when we talk about open innovation, we mean using knowledge that lies outside of our organization in order to develop innovation within our organization. Just an example, you need to create a new product and you find a collaboration partner, like another organization, a university, that can provide you with knowledge and technology to develop this new product. And you work together, you develop this product, you get the result, everyone is happy. So you are not developing this product entirely with your own team, you invite someone else. And this is the case of outside in or inbound open innovation, when you bring knowledge from the outside. There could be another model of open innovation, and we are talking here about transferring our knowledge that we might not use ourselves to other organizations, and this is the case of inside out open innovation. For example, you have a technology you don't really use, but you know there is another company that could benefit from it. You find this company, you cooperate, you can license your technology, and everyone is happy in this case too, because you get money and another company gets the technology they need. And some companies use both these models. Now, today I will be talking about outside in or inbound open innovation, so using knowledge of other organizations that could help you to solve your innovation challenges. It's closer to me, it's something that I work with, something that I know, and yeah, I believe that this is something that could help you solve your challenges with competitors and pricing competition and other business challenges that you might have. Now, before we move any further, I want to mention one important thing about the difference in open innovation for large companies and small and medium enterprises. Thanks to Professor Wim van Haverbeke, who is one of the leading researchers, I believe he is one of the leading researchers of open innovation in small and medium businesses, we know more about it. And what Professor van Haverbeke mentions in one of his research papers is that large companies take their open innovation activities without touching the firm's strategic objectives. But this is not the case for small and medium companies, because for your case, open innovation cannot be isolated from your strategic goals. Because small and medium companies, of course, they are small, they can't have dozens of different projects all the time working on the different products. They use open innovation in order to perform a strategic change in their business. Well, at least that's what companies that use open innovation mentioned. And Professor van Haverbeke also makes another important point, that the technology itself doesn't play a big role for small and medium enterprises. Well, for big companies, it's the same as well, because the most important thing about the technology is how you can commercialize it. So we should not be talking about innovation in technology, but we should be talking about innovation in business models. At least that's the case for small and medium companies. We should be talking about innovation in the way to make money, because small and medium companies might not even have technologies in-house, but they still can create new business models to utilize technologies of other companies to gain profits. And as Professor van Haverbeke describes it, analyzing open innovation in small and medium enterprises in traditional industries starts with conceiving and developing a new business model. So that's just something for you to remember. You don't want, and I'm pretty sure like in any case, you don't want to work just to develop a new technology that you are not going to use. You need to get money from this technology. And now let's talk about examples of outside in open innovation models, like what exists, like which ways companies use to have this open innovation approach. And we can be talking about scouting and licensing, when the company is looking for and acquiring some interesting and promising technologies or ideas from external sources. For example, we can talk about companies that get technology licenses related to wireless communication technologies from Qualcomm. This is an example of licensing. Then we can talk about crowdsourcing, when the company invites different external contributors to submit their ideas or solutions through dedicated platforms to solve a specific problem that the company has. For example, NASA has their own crowdsourcing program. We can talk about Lego ideas, or even Wikipedia. It's probably the simplest example here. Then we can be talking about hackathons and competitions. Here, companies invite teams of participants, professionals, so that they can provide solutions to the company's specific challenges. As you might understand from the name, teams compete with each other, and this kind of competition is just more kind of explicit here than when you see it with crowdsourcing. By the way, this is something that I do with my company. We use models, hackathon models that combine competition and collaboration to increase an impact. Then we can talk about collaborative research projects. With this model, the company partners with universities, research institutions, startups, like other organizations, their suppliers sometimes, or customers even, to conduct joint research and get the product at the end of it. And this is also something that we do at our company. And when it comes to examples, I think that you can ask pretty much any open innovation manager from a big company, and they can talk about it. They can talk about how they collaborate with universities and other research institutions. Then we can talk about open innovation networks, and this is about networks or ecosystems where different participants that might include companies, universities, other institutions, startups, and even individuals share their insights and knowledge to drive innovation. And usually this is not about just one single project, one single problem to solve. This is just to drive innovation in general and bring more different innovation solutions. And as an example, we can mention the high-tech campus Eindhoven in the Netherlands that represents a physical open innovation network where companies, researchers, and startups collaborate. And another example that I want to mention here is joint ventures. Companies organize joint ventures to mutually benefit from combining their knowledge and technologies. So basically, we can have, for example, two companies working together to develop a complex product that combine their technologies. And here we can mention probably Sony Ericsson, when Japan's Sony and Sweden's Ericsson entered an association to develop and produce phones and other devices. And companies, big companies, they might organize special open innovation programs to constantly benefit from open innovation. They might combine different models. I don't know, when it comes to examples, again, something that I have already mentioned, Lego, NASA, AstraZeneca as well. These continuous programs, they don't stop their existence after just one project. These companies, they have their programs all the time, and they gather ideas from the outside constantly. So let's repeat once again, just to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about. Small businesses need to innovate in order to offer unique products to the market and be able to successfully compete with other companies, including big ones, and in order to grow as well. The problem is they have limited resources to innovate. However, to solve this problem of limited resources, small and medium companies can collaborate with other organizations and individuals and develop innovation together. And that's what open innovation is about: collaborating and co-creating innovation. In general, as we are talking about limited resources, they can actually help creativity, and they can help you to come up with new ideas and new solutions. And you might have this new vision of a new business model or a new product. And before starting an open innovation project, you actually need to have this vision. But the vision itself doesn't cost anything. So you need to implement it. You need to have this solution, and you might have no expertise. And even if you have this expertise, like big companies, they have their huge R&D departments, they spend a lot of money on internal R&D activities. but still, they still conduct open innovation projects, and the reason is that they cannot hire, and you cannot hire all the bright minds that exist out there, and they cannot have all the ideas that could help their company and their vision. And of course, you cannot have all these bright ideas within your company. So it's always better to collaborate, because you find new knowledge and new technologies that you could use. I will not talk a lot about it. I have a separate video where I explain why I believe in collaboration that much. So if you want, you can take a look at this video. But anyway, for small companies, sometimes using open innovation might be the only option, and actually a question of survival. Now let's talk about open innovation and collaborative projects for your business. In general, for small and medium companies, it is better to have long-term collaboration partners. There are many different reasons for that, one of which is that it is quite costly, to find new partners, not only when it comes to money, but also when it comes to time. And then we should also talk about trust, of course, because trust is important for any collaborative innovation project. But big companies, they have their bureaucracy, they have their processes. They can afford to pay less attention to trust and personal connections. Moreover, they are better legally protected. So they have all these different agreements in place, they have their legal departments. If something goes wrong, they can protect themselves. And of course, this is not the case for small and medium companies. But when you build this bond with your long-term partners, you build this connection, you start trusting each other more. And in general, personal connections are more important for small and medium companies. So when it comes to the model of open innovation to use, which example of open innovation project you can use, we should probably talk mostly about collaborative research projects and organizing open innovation networks. Or maybe you can start with a collaborative project and then it becomes a network once the main solution is implemented, but you don't want to lose the contact and you want to develop it further and you want to improve it. But yeah, when it comes to organizing a collaborative project or a network, the questions are, who should you collaborate with? And for how long? And how do you find the right process for your collaboration? And here, honestly, it's very difficult for me to give you answers straight away to all these questions, especially when it comes to processes. And the reason for that is that, as I said, open innovation for small and medium companies, it touches the strategy, it touches the core of your business, of the whole company, not just one single project, not just one technology, and because also it's a lot about personal connection between partners. And because each company works in their own field, industry, some innovate more, some innovate less, how can I give you one single process for each case? And I can't. I just can give you some tips and kind of advice on what you should pay attention to, but yeah, it's going to be different for each case. It's even difficult to say who you should collaborate with. Should you work with your suppliers, with companies from other areas, maybe with your competitors, maybe with university teams, or maybe you should invite all of them at the same time? I always say that a lot depends on the problem that you're trying to solve, the challenge that you have, and in this case, the vision. It is also relevant here. You need to have a vision of what you're trying to create. And this vision, it might be blurry at first, but as you develop the idea, it will become more concrete, more defined. But it is important, extremely important to have it, because this is exactly what will help you to understand whom to invite as your collaboration partners, which competences and knowledge you are missing and what you want to get at the end. You need to have this understanding. For example, you need to develop this new business model, or like you're looking to build this product, and this might involve this technology and that technology, and or maybe not with technology, maybe you don't know which technology it might require, but you at least have an understanding of which experts you might want to talk to. Because if you don't have this vision, there is a big chance that your project will be endless or will be just unsuccessful, and it might even destroy your company. I mean, I don't want to be dramatic, but this is really important. And then, as you have this vision, as I mentioned, you can just work with anyone you need, anyone you are missing with your project. You can work with your suppliers or your customers or universities or other companies. You can invite separate researchers. You can work with research enthusiasts from open talent platform, or you can invite an intermediary who can organize this process for you. Whoever you need, whoever has the knowledge that you need, you might invite them to collaborate. But anyway, I want to get back to the point about the vision. What if you don't have it? What if you understand that, something goes wrong and you need to save your business, you need to save your company, but you don't know which direction you should choose, or if it is too blurry. If you are not sure what exactly you should build, maybe you should just start by gathering ideas. And actually, in this case, a model of a hackathon, organizing a hackathon, could help you. Just an idea, it might be a good way to start your collaboration, actually. Hackathons are quite inexpensive to conduct. You can gather a lot of various solutions, various ideas from all the different individuals. And even if you don't kind of implement any particular solution, if you don't choose any particular idea, you still can get this inspiration for your own vision, for your own idea that you need to develop. And sometimes, if you like one of the ideas, if you understand that, yes, this is exactly that your company needs, you might even start a long-term collaboration with the partner who suggested that solution. I have a video about how to organize a hackathon, so you can take a look. When it comes to the process itself, I would probably suggest you looking at the lean startup methodology and incorporate it, modify it to the needs of your open innovation project. And the reason why I suggest you to do this is because lean startup is basically a method how to create, how to build innovative businesses, processes that we usually use for large companies, for open innovation projects in large companies. They are different because the large company can invest into a technology. They develop a technology, and it's just different, okay? Like the process that we use when we work with large companies is different. And here, I believe that a lean startup methodology might be the right one for you. And there are quite some books. I'm going to mention them in the description below. And when it comes to time, it's quite difficult to say how long it's going to take you to develop your new business model. So the process might look very different, and just be ready for it, and one step at a time, and you'll get there. But once the project is over, you might want to actually keep your collaboration partners close to you. You might organize an open innovation network. Again, as I said, you still would need to drive this connection, but that's just another story. We're not going to talk about it now. Now, how can you organize this collaborative innovation project? And there are two options that you have. You can do it yourself, or you can do it with the help of an intermediary. There are quite some intermediary companies that exist on the market. We're just one of them. And here I think that you should really decide for yourself. And when it comes to working with intermediaries, there are quite some pros. I would say it might be quite beneficial because you will work with people who know how to conduct open innovation projects, how to do things, how to organize the process, how to organize work. And because open innovation projects, they are quite complex and there are lots of challenges that you will face. And if not done right, you may lose quite some money and time. And again, you might lose a company because it might be quite crucial. In the case of a small company, you might want to look at them. And intermediaries also know all these different nuances. They can protect you, they can protect your knowledge and project results and organize the work in the most efficient way, and they can of course find the right partners for you. However, the problem with them is that their work costs money, of course, and you need to actually find a company that is ready to be flexible for you, that is ready to be flexible for your case and do not push their specific model that they use. And yeah, I mean, here you would also need to be very much involved, because this is not just the project that if unsuccessful, you can forget about it. This is your company. Your company is at stake. Your business is at stake. So I think you cannot fully delegate this project to an intermediary. You need to be involved. And yeah, anyway, if you want to organize something like that, if you are getting ready to change your business, I think that you should at least talk to someone with open innovation experience and ask their opinion and learn about pitfalls. And as we're talking about pitfalls, let's talk about challenges. Challenges that you will face in an open innovation project. I have a whole video about open innovation challenges and how they can be solved, but today I want to specifically mention a couple of them that are related the most to collaborative projects in small and medium enterprises. And first of all, I want to talk here about legal aspects. As I have already mentioned, large companies are better protected legally in open innovation projects. They have lawyers, they have patent attorneys, they have money to protect themselves in the court if necessary. Small companies often miss these aspects just because they are unaware of all the details and they don't pay enough attention to these legal things. I have an interview on my channel about intellectual property in innovation management where Dr. Christoph Appert mentioned an example of a company that created a great product that customers loved, but they didn't protect their invention and the competitors took the market from them. They just copied their product, and this is not something that you want to face, right? You don't want to lose your company, you don't want to lose your business to competitors just because you didn't protect yourself. So I would suggest before you start any collaborative, any open innovation project, before you start sharing your ideas with any other organization, please hire lawyers or find a firm that would help you to prepare all these agreements, that would help you in negotiating intellectual property rights, that would make sure that you're legally protected in such projects. If you don't work with an intermediary, of course, because in that case, an intermediary should help you with these questions. I wouldn't recommend you saving money on it because trusting your partners, and we talked about trust, is important, but I think it's better to be safe than sorry. You will need to decide who owns the result of your project. You need to discuss background IP. You need to talk about what you're going to protect and how much money you're ready to compensate for owning the patent, if you want to own the patent, of course. Or you need to discuss licensing if this is what you want to do. So those legal aspects are really important. Another big challenge for small and medium companies is the financial one, and open innovation projects, they could be quite costly, and it's very important to manage costs wisely because a big company, they can spend $1 million on the project and they can forget about it. But for a small company, spending more than it can afford could easily kill the business. So you always need to carefully calculate your investments and potential return. Another big challenge would be managerial. It is quite complicated to manage collaborative projects, and the more partners you invite, the more complicated it gets, especially at the beginning when everyone is just trying to understand what is supposed to be done and what is expected from them specifically. And it's a very different process. A collaborative project, a collaborative process is very different from what you're used to inside your company. So you need to have a strong manager there to organize, to facilitate and drive the process. And it will take some of your time to do it. So you still need to invest human and, well, time resources. Now, I just want to mention a couple of successful open innovation examples from small and medium companies. Most of them are coming from the publication of Professor Wim van Haverbeke, because honestly, I didn't find a lot of case studies, It's a big problem in my opinion. I want to find other companies that work with open innovation approach, with collaborative projects, so that they can share their first-hand experience. I think it's going to be quite useful. And I'm looking for these companies now, but we have what we have now. So I'm going to mention the company which is called Kurana from Belgium, which is a small family-owned company specializing in bicycle mudguards and fenders. The company collaborated with external partners to develop unique bicycle mudguards. They didn't have expertise in-house, they didn't have researchers in-house, but they worked with partners to find an innovative solution to manufacture, which allowed them to stay afloat in a highly competitive industry. Then I'd also like to mention a company, Quilts of Denmark. It's a Danish startup. They partnered with a space agency and technology companies to create intelligent quilts that regulate temperature for better sleep, and they also did a great job in marketing here. I'd also like to mention Mozilla Firefox. Probably you know this company, and they use an open innovation approach and gather user feedback, partner with independent developers, and share code openly to develop better solutions. This one is not from the publication, but I think it deserves to be here. And I'm pretty sure there are lots of other examples of how companies, small and medium companies, collaborated with other organizations and developed their innovative solutions and are striving now. And yeah, I hope that I'm gonna find some, and I hope maybe we can do some interviews in the future, but we'll see. Honestly, there are so many other things that are worth talking about with regard to this topic, but I cannot create an endless video, so I'm sorry if I missed anything. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below, or just text me on LinkedIn. I'll do my best to answer them, or I'm gonna refer you to the person who can answer. And yeah, if you want to read more about open innovation in small and medium enterprises, I'd highly recommend you to read books and articles by Professor Wim van Haverbeke. I'm going to share the links, some links in the description below. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful. I hope this video was also inspiring for you and you're ready to transform your business and solve all the challenges that you face and continue growth and prosper. I wish you good luck with any project that you conduct or are about to conduct, and I wish you a good day. I hope to see you in the next video, and yeah, bye!